Welcome, everybody. It's Emma Romano and the beautiful Kelly Bowen.
I am back after a huge sabbatical.
This woman has been a busy chick, let me tell you.
Thank you for holding the fort, Em. I have been watching what you've been doing and some of the incredible people that you have been interviewing, and wow, amazing job. Thank you.
Yeah, like it's such a pleasure because I've been hanging out with really freaking cool people. This is Inspired Conversations, by the way, everybody. Our podcast.
Just in case you forgot and you missed it on the intro.
Inspired Conversations. We are going to talk today about a really big emotion that I feel people forget about or skim over. Like, people will go into anxiety, I feel depressed, or I feel angry. But we're going to talk about disappointment today. So just before, every time Kell and I get on to record a podcast, we always grab a cuppa and we chat and we sit here because we are such good friends and we're like soul sisters. So we catch up on the goss, right?
Yeah, and catch up on the tea.
Yeah, catch up on the tea. And we haven't talked for a while because we've both been ridiculously busy. Kelly has been making millions of dollars, by the way.
Not quite that much.
Okay, well, 1 million. She just made a million.
I did not.
1 million.
Not quite. I had my first 80K month. I touched the frequency for the first time.
That's huge. It's huge. It's massive. Anyway.
We're on the way. We are well on the
100%.
way.
And I've been teaching and coaching, and I have been going through some major fucking shit this year. So this is 2023. What's the date? It's the 10th of May, 2023. I don't know when you guys want to listen to this, but I have had a pretty amazing and shitful year so far. I'm going to be honest with you. It's been fucking incredible, but it's also been really majorly bloody pointing.
Oh, tell us about it.
I've been feeling all the feels. So much has happened to me personally. Like, someone tried to extort me for 50K. Another time I'm at a practitioner's house, this beautiful woman's house, and I'm about to lay on a table. I'm pouring my eyes. You know, I just come off this beautiful silent retreat with Alicia Tummerman. She's someone I want to get on our podcast, by the way.
Let's do it. I'll write it down. You keep
Alicia
doing your magic.
Freaking insane. Anyway, I went on a silent retreat. She was incredible. Come back, sit on, with this beautiful woman who does massage Reiki with me. And without my permission, and, I'm pouring my heart out about this meeting I had with Archangel Michael in his silent retreat. And she decided to put me on a live on Facebook. No permission, no nothing. And it was good because, we've spoken about this before, Kell, how my natural trauma response is to fawn.
Mm-hmm.
And, last year, Kelly here really, really coached me, because Kelly isn't just my mate. She was also coaching me last year, right? My business and everything. Kelly was all the things for me last year.
We've worn a few hats for each other at various different times. The year before you were helping, the year before you were doing my trauma healing. So it's beautiful.
And then we swapped. It's fucking brilliant. Anyway, I really recognized when I was in that trauma response of fawning, and it was a whole thing. I'm not going to fawn anymore, because I would fawn and I would people please, and I would get exhausted about people pleasing, and then I would crack the shits. I'd want to fight, right? That were my two natural states. I will never stop doing that, but you could do it in a really clean way.
Yeah.
So when I was in this state of, I'm on this live and I'm like a deer in headlights. I'm not kidding. It was almost like someone had blindfolded me, put me on center stage, and I'm in my worst outfit, and someone just opened the curtains and there's a million people looking at me, and I'm like, it was horrible. And in my head, it's like my ego, my pain body is going, Emma, just suck it up and get on the table. Suck it up, get on the table. Don't say anything. Don't say anything, Emma. Emma, don't say anything. My soul is going, oh, bitch, we don't play this game anymore. Get up and get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
Say, no, this is enough. Don't ever do that to me again, and get out. So I did. So I get
so proud of you.
Thank you. So proud of me.
And before you go into the next, I just want to make a comment here about how challenging when we go into a survival response like that into freeze to actually have our cognitive part of our brain come in to be able to create action. It's almost near impossible. This is where you see, I was actually watching something the other day, TV show called Firefly Lane, and trigger warning right now. There was this scene where one of the characters get raped, and what happens? She goes into a freeze, and she literally just, and it's that thing. Why can't you fight them off? Paralytic freeze, yes. Waiting for it to be over. So the fact that you were able to move yourself into action here, this is huge. Most people can't, and I really want to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you. I also want to acknowledge people. You know, when people say, you know, oh, if you're in an abusive relationship, why don't you leave?
It's not that simple.
It's not that fucking simple, because when you're in a fight and flight state, when you're in a freeze state, that's where you're at.
And you ain't going anywhere.
You can't move. But thank you, Kelly, for acknowledging that. So when you're doing something different, for all those doing something different, I want to give you the permission to know that when you do something different, it's great. But this is what happened to me. I get to the car, right? So I've gone down the stairs. I put my jumper and my shoes back on. I've gone down the stairs. So it's very polite. This woman is an amazing woman. I've got to tell you. I tell you where she was coming from. She thought I can get clients this way, and that she would make me proud because I'm a bit of a go-getter. She just didn't realize. I think she was in her fright and flight as well. And she just wasn't thinking. Yeah, she just wasn't thinking clearly. So I go downstairs, I get in my car, and guess what happened? I had a massive, full-blown, full-body panic attack. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even see. I'm standing there and I've got the key, like I'm trying to get in my car. Next thing, I find myself sitting in the car and I've got these sobs, like, you know, like those, that. Like it was a full body thing, because what I've just done now, I've just changed my narrative to 52 years of age. I ain't fawning no more. So I just gave my body that permission, and my soul and my inner child the permission to grieve every time that I have fawned. So it was a beautiful experience to be had. And I've got to tell you, this woman just redeemed herself. She comes out, she sits in the car with me. She goes, I'm not letting you drive. Come back in. I'm not going to put my hands on you. Just come back in and have a cuppa with me. So I find myself back in this woman's house. I've calmed down. It was brilliant. I get back outside. I'm like, right, this is all new to me. Because, you know, the usual Emma is just get on the fucking table and suck it the fuck up. And then I would suffer for months later.
Yeah.
Right? So I get back in the car. That happened. I go to Shayla's house. I ring Kell. I'm like, oh my God, all the things. But I just feel... Then after that, 2 weeks, I think after that, I get this letter, this email extorting me for 50K. Someone, give me 50K, here's my bank account details, and I'll go away if you put 50K in my bank account. I'm like, what? Okay, do I look stupid? I'm not, it's just the way my mother dresses me. I promise you, I'm not stupid.
Mind you, for those watching video, she's wearing Camilla.
Yeah, Camilla, right? So I'm like, my God. And then my grandfather died, and then there's all this disappointment around how my family handle it and all this stuff. But this is what gets me the most. I'm very disappointed in people. Why? Because if you're trying to throw me under the bus, or you're trying to extort money from me, it obviously means you think that you can't do the work yourself. It obviously means that you think you can't have this kind of success yourself. That fucking disappoints me, because then that means you need a bloody good mentor, and you haven't got one. You haven't got one that's believing in you, and you need a better mentor. You need a one-to-one mentor that can do the work with you and get you to believe in yourself, right? So I have had all this major disappointment. I've been really disappointed this year. It's been crazy. I've been disappointed in how people have handled situations. But then on the flip side, I've looked at my growth and how I handle situations and how I've really adulted.
Yeah.
And even last week, I had somebody, I was teaching relationship sovereignty, and they're to my top practitioners. And I did something that I've never done before. I got somebody who's done a lot of work, and I said, yeah, come in and do it. And I don't know why I did it, because she obviously wasn't ready for it, because you got to learn your times tables before you learn your freaking top-notch mathematician stuff, right?
Algebra.
Thank you. Let's go.
Like, before you fancy math word.
Before you learn, hold your bra, right?
Yep.
She's in the first day and she's not getting it. So she actually went into this whole fright and flight thing, like, I'm not getting it. I feel shame in here. I feel dumb in here. Because she talks a big game, this person. She talks, oh no, I know all this. I've got all this. She doesn't.
It would have brought up classroom trauma.
Yeah, 100% it did. It brought up a lot of trauma for her. So she's gone, I can't come in. I don't want to do it. I'm like, that's okay. And she wouldn't answer my text messages or my phone calls, right? So I'm sitting there going, now I have a choice here. I can go into complete shame and disappointment about I did the wrong thing. I pulled her into a situation, a containership that was way too above her. She didn't know it, right?
Consciousness level.
It was way above her
skill level. Skill and consciousness level. Yeah.
It was way above, like light years above, right? I get it. But you know what? It was great. This is where I know I'm really adulting. Now, the old fauna would have gone, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't. I sat there and I went, this is fucking brilliant. God knows better than us, right? God had a plan. There's a reason why I had her in here. Now, I've got her $8,888. That's what you pay for these 5 days. I've got it. She did finance through Kelly. It was great. I've got the money in my bank account. I'm like, well, what do I do with this? Because I'm all about, you're going to get more for value than your money with me, always, right? Same as Kelly, right? And my worry is, okay, I need to look after this woman. So on the third day, she finally rings me. And I answer the phone and I go, hello, my darling heart. And she just burst into tears. And I went, what do you need? She goes, I didn't think you'd answer the phone like that. I thought you were going to yell at me. And I'm like, God, no. And she goes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for running away. I'm sorry for not. And she goes, I feel like a little girl. I went, but this is perfect. You don't understand what you're doing for humanity right now. She's like, what do you mean? I said, I've got your $8,888. I've got it. I said, what this means is we get to create something even that's never been done before to help you out and give you more value than you've ever had for your $8,888. And she goes, oh my God, thank you. I said, she goes, what does it look like? I went, I have no fucking clue. I have no idea. I said, but we're going to have a chat on the 15th of May. And we're going to create it. I said, which is great because we're in creation mode. So which means whatever we create, we can copy paste that and do this for other people. This is fantastic. Thanks. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And this is where I go, I'm an adult now, Kell. I've grown up.
I love that you share these stories so much, Em, and like talking about it. And I keep seeing like, yes, there's a flavor of disappointment. So there's a couple of places that I want to go with this, and I want to go like a bit deeper. You know me, I always like to go like right underneath it. So there's a few flavors here. There's the holistic psychologist that I'm always raving about. I fucking love her Instagram and Self-Healers Circle. I just love the way that she takes the ideas and breaks them down. And there's something that she talks about a lot, and that's, as part of emotional maturity, is adults being able to handle disappointment. Because when adults haven't emotionally matured, they experience disappointment. And what happens is it becomes a blame game. And it's that attack and it's trauma response and it's withdrawal. Because when kids, if a child experiences disappointment, what do, Em?
They throw a tantrum.
Thank you. So now imagine you've got all these children in adult bodies, and every time they're experiencing disappointment, they're chucking tantrums. And you can kind of see why relationships are in the state that they're in and why certain businesses do better than others, and then why could some clients feel more satisfied interacting with that business than others. And it's this piece here about disappointment, because the whole time that you were talking about these different flavors of what you've been experiencing and the disappointment out of it, and then these beautiful stories of how much you've grown and triumph and success on the other side. And I think this is the gift disappointment brings to us. And even if I look at my own journey this year, and it wasn't until you started talking to me before we jumped on, Em, about disappointment, I was like, fuck, I've had to sit with a lot of disappointment this year as well.
Yeah.
Yet it wasn't registering, because every time I'd felt that pinch, like that burn, like I was in a relationship for like a relationship situationship close enough that two people are interacting, yet enough that it's bringing up your shit. So, and
I love how you put it.
I'm just thinking about the other person and their relationship to labels. That's why I was kind of like relationship, situationship, poking fun if you're listening to this. So, but in that, every time I experienced disappointment of not having the other person respond to me or step into the space that I was wanting to step into, instead of being met with all those happy, like love, giddy hormones, I was met with disappointment. And then having to sit with that as an adult, and then being like, okay, what within me is having attachment to this situation that I can do the work within me to evolve out of.
Yes.
And there's been so many things on a deep primal level that I've been able to discover about myself, like stuff going back to when I was 2 years old, particularly stuff around not receiving enough touch, stuff being around like certain hormones that are released by people. If I smell a certain chemical, done the work around this, but if I was smelling the certain chemical cocktail of men, of testosterone, cortisol, and adrenaline, it would actually spike in my brain as danger, and I'd instantly want to keep this person at arm's length.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize, and I'm like, why have I always found like with men that it doesn't take much for me to want to push them away and be avoided? And then when I had like some of these other pieces come in, but each time that I discovered one of these like little nuggets of profound life-changing bits of gold, the thing that led me there wasn't an epiphany of love and bliss. It was actually disappointment. And it was because
exactly.
It was disappointment. And then being able to handle the situation in a loving way that was kind for me and kind for the other person to step forward into more connection, or at least a healthy separation, then it forced me to go back to these places to reclaim these parts of myself that were in the past that were actually experiencing the disappointment or the attachment to the result that was creating the disappointment. And this is where, like, each time I was listening to you talk about one of these stories, and what I was hearing was your own journey through that process, and then the growth that was available to you after that. But that's not what most people do. Most people get stuck in the disappointment and play the blame game, and they don't ever get out of it, and they just create more of the same people or same circumstances, different faces, different day.
Yeah.
And so I really want to acknowledge you for that. And I think this is a sign, like, if you look at people that are continually growing and continually like doing great things, this will be a very common thread. And it's like there's the disappointment, there's a capacity for self-reflection, the willingness to do something about that, because awareness is one thing. Shit's me when people go, oh yeah, I'm aware of it. Great. What the fuck are you doing about it?
Yeah. What are you going to do about it now?
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah. You got to action it.
You've got to action it, because you can be aware of your triggers all you like. I like to think of it like, imagine, like, this is awareness. You've got a paddock, and in that paddock there is a gazillion landmines, and you know where they all are, and you can try and as carefully walk through that paddock as you like to not hit any of the landmines. But if the grass grows a little bit too long, or the wind comes along and knocks you over, or there's something unpredictable knocks you off your feet, boom, you're on a landmine. That's awareness. You know where they are. Doesn't mean that they're not there. What doing something about it does is clears the paddock, so you can frolic around your paddock freely. I'm all about frolicking around the paddock freely. So
we're all about frolicking, people.
Aren't we? Close on, close off, your choice. Right. So, but that's awareness. So, and what I'm hearing in this is there's the awareness of what it is, the willingness to do something about it and go there and reclaim those parts of yourself that are trapped in the past, to integrate them into the now so you can create something different. So you don't keep getting different people. I mean, yeah, same people, different faces, or same shit, different day. And for me, like that's what changes that willingness to go there and do something about it is resilience.
And there's another thing, right? I had to really look at myself and go, because we get addicted to feelings, right? We get addicted to
Oh my
what's
God.
familiar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to look at myself and go, because I used to be addicted to like drama. I used to love the feeling of
Oh,
it.
me too.
I didn't know. I wasn't consciously aware of it, but I fucking loved it.
Me either.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
So,
Sniff it
being
out.
life of the party, having drama, gossip, I loved it. It would fill me with adrenaline. And then I'd feel sick afterwards. I'm like, oh, fuck, I shouldn't have said that, all that. And then I had to look at myself the other day and go, have I actually got a pull or an addiction to feeling disappointment? Fuck yes, I did. 100%. Yep. Because I could sit there, something bad could happen. I'd ring my go-to people. I'd have a good bitch about it, and then I'd get over it. And what was really good for me was the fact that the last few disappointments, I didn't do that. I didn't feel the need to offload it. I didn't feel the need to go into it. I had broken the cycle of the habit of the addiction to the feelings of what disappointment gave me. So now it's like, when if you're like a smoker and you stop smoking and you can be hanging around with smokers and someone goes, do you want a cigarette? You go, nah.
It smells disgusting.
Yeah, that's what I feel around disappointment now. Whereas I had no idea that I did have an addiction to the feeling of disappointment. So when you got an addiction, what do? You look for it. It's like if you're a heroin addict, what do? You go to where the heroin is, right? If you're an alcoholic, where do you go? The fucking bottle shop. So if you've got an addiction to feeling disappointment, you go to the disappointment shop. You'll find people who disappoint you. You'll find situations that would disappoint you to fulfill the addiction. Is it good for you? Nor is crack cocaine, but we still do it. What? Nor is that. But we still fucking do it. And this is consciousness. This is awareness. Like, where are my fucked up addictions? Like, I've got an addiction to crystals. I also had an addiction to disappointment. I didn't know that. It's like the sneaky thing, I didn't know I was an alcoholic either until I tried to stop drinking wine and found I can't stop drinking wine. When the fuck did that creep up on me? It's like all these things. You don't know you're addicted to something. Like, this is where you've got to be aware of yourself, but then you've got to do something about it. You got to go, right, if I'm addicted to disappointment, where the fuck am I finding it? What do I want to swap it with? Now, how does that person behave? Because it's a new identity. This is the thing. We have to create new identities for ourselves. So instead of being, I'm a woman who's addicted to disappointment and the feeling disappointment so it can fulfill some pity party prophecy, I don't fucking know what it was doing. But like, who am I if I'm not addicted to that? It's the same thing that I had to do when I was like, who am I without being addicted to alcohol? Who's she? What does she do? How does she wake up in the morning? How does she play the day? How does she go to bed? What is she doing instead of drinking wine? It's a new identity. So that's the trick. Like, literally, for people who are sitting here going, fuck me, I'm addicted to depression. I'm addicted to anxiety. I'm addicted to drama. I'm addicted to being with crappy relationships where I remember my first husband. I was so addicted to him. I couldn't breathe without him. It was crazy. I was so codependent on the lifestyle, as in, it was so fucking exciting, Kell, and not always in the good way. I didn't know if I was going to get a backhander, or I didn't know if I was going to get a kiss. Like, this is the life I lived for 7 years with him. And it was fucking exciting. And when I realized shit, I am addicted to the adrenaline that this relationship causes in me. Well, who am I without that kind of adrenaline? Who am I? What if I created my own adrenaline? What if I started roller derby instead? What if I started playing tennis comp? What if I started playing netball tennis instead? What if I what if I studied something and that brought up the adrenaline instead? How do I play that? Lo and behold, 3 months later, I leave this man. So I was doing the work before I even knew how to do the work, before I was consciously told how to do the work. That's what you got to do. You got to sit down and go, right, who am I without this? And then this is the major part. It's not who am I without it. And guys, I really, anyone, you guys, amazing people listening to this, get a pen and paper. Who am I without? Then you go, what actions do I take when I am this new person? Because my new actions, like, it's been 3.5 years since I've had any alcohol, and I feel fucking amazing. Wow. But who am I now? I'm a millionairess. That's who I am. I know, thanks. I do yoga 4 times a week. I am completely, my relationship with my children, it's such a connection. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, my relationship with my husband is better. I have great sex because I feel now. I'm not numbing out. So, like, what are the actions that you take? And you won't get them straight away, but you practice these actions. It's you got to practice the new you, right? And this is where you've got to be gentle with yourself. It's not going to happen overnight, peeps. I wish it did.
Oh, me too.
Anybody's got that fucking magic pill, please send me the link.
You'll make a lot of money.
Send me the link.
We'll help you market it. We're good at that. We'll put an affiliate business behind it.
Exactly. We'll MLM the crap out of that.
We can all be abundant.
Exactly. And it's a practice. This is the part where you can't I'm just self-realization here. When I make a decision about something, I feel that I have to do it right then and then. It has to be all good and perfect, and I fall into that disappointment. There's that addiction to disappointment.
Oh, yeah, because then if we don't live up to the new thing, then we get to feel disappointed again. Holy shit, that was awesome.
See?
That was a mic drop.
Thank you guys for listening to this, because you just helped Kell and I shift consciousness. We thank you so much. And this is how it happens in real time. That's it. Yep. We just did it. I'm not kidding. Yep. I'm not kidding. So can we please stop? Well, Emma Romano, you are going to stop now shitting on yourself for not getting it straight away and not doing it straight away. There, thank you, because that's addiction to disappointment. Boom shakalaka. I love this.
Boom. So I want to add into, that was really sexy. My addiction that I've been working on breaking is the addiction to unavailable people. For me, they've just been fucking crack, and I've literally had to keep like pulling it back and pulling it back and pulling it back. And it's like what you were saying with your narcissistic ex-em. Here's what's so addictive about unavailable people is that they have this way of, when they're with you, they are so present, and it literally sends off all of your biochemistry. So it's not just them, your body is biochemically reacting to the experience. So when they give you full presence, full love, full words of affirmation, full time, like they literally send off all of like the love languages, all of that. What happens, your body is spiked with oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, you're drugged, you're literally high. And then this is where the addiction thing happens. Then when they do the avoidant thing, withdrawal, or they go off in their own life and then there's just like nothing, like no connection, what that does, it spikes the opposite. Then you're like, where'd you go? What do you mean? You're so present. How do you just how did you disappear? Like, well, what? I don't understand, because in normal reality, that's just not how it works. People don't go from such extreme connection to such extreme disconnection. It doesn't fly that way. So what happens, it pulls your biochemistry into it. So now you get the drop in oxytocin, the drop in serotonin, the drop in dopamine. So it pulls you in. And then you don't know the next time you see them how they're going to be. Or the next time you try and contact them, whether they're going to respond with full presence or if they're just going to leave you on read for 24 hours or 48 hours. And you're going to be like, where did you go? So, and this is how that biochemical addiction gets created. Now, for people that have had healthy attachment as they grew up, they're going to see this and go, no, thank you, don't want a bar of it. But if this is how you experience your childhood home environment, and love was experienced in a very unpredictable nature, whether it be violent, whether it be like full present and then nothing, or silent treatment, as soon as you experience this behavior or similar behaviors in another person, doesn't even need to be the same, it just needs to create the same biochemical reaction in your body, you're going to be like, oh, I really like this person, we have a special connection. No, you don't, you're trauma bonding. So this addiction for me, and even though my conscious part of my brain is like, this isn't good for you, there's fucking red flags everywhere and it is not the carnival, get out, yet my body's like, oh, ha ha ha, we're going on an adventure. No, you're not. And in learning how to bring this back, and constantly this year has been a lot of that for me, and I didn't realize that this was still as present as it was. And I think the only reason, again, universe gives you what you need, not necessarily what you want. And it gave this to me. If this was somebody that I just sort of met, like, I don't know, scrolling on Tinder, met someone, saw this behavior, I'd be like, out, totally out, no thank you. But because this person was already close to me, we already had a very strong connection anyway, and we developed a friendship that then went elsewhere. It had me sit through some of the things that I would have been like, nah, see you later, which then brought up this next layer of healing for myself. And yet the disappointment and then the willingness to go there and heal it and then shift it has made such a huge transformation. It's totally like recultivated my relationship with myself, then with others. And there's been a couple of key pieces in this, like just going on. This is building on what Em said about, one, who is this person if they're not doing that addiction? And then as you're moving towards becoming that person, it's not an excuse to beat up on yourself and be more disappointed and playing to the disappointment addiction. It's an opportunity to recreate new emotions. And my somatic therapist, Lara, I can't remember your last name now. However, you are fucking amazing. And I love how you've been helping me shift through some of these somatic things. But what she said has really helped me start to realize and not just see, but feel. Seeing is one thing because it is detached. Feeling is an embodied experience. I have cultivated so much self-love in my life, pretty much from the moment I wake up, excuse me, to the moment I go to sleep. I am involved in all sorts of different self-love practices. And I do them, I've been doing them on autopilot and not letting myself feel the love I'm giving myself in the moment to moment activities that I'm doing. I've just been doing them like, I brush my teeth because I know I have to. Not I'm brushing my teeth because I love myself and I want to have good oral hygiene, because this is the first part food enters my body. And if I have good enzymes and oral stuff going on, then it helps with my gut digestion, which helps with my nourishment, blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't bringing the level of presence and consciousness to the things that I was already doing. So I didn't have to go and create this elaborate self-love list. I just had to bring presence into everything that I was already doing. So for example, in the morning when I make my cacao and I fill it full of like 4 different medicinal mushrooms, not the magic ones, the medicinal ones.
There's nothing wrong with magical mushrooms, by the way, everybody.
No, nothing. It's not every day in your cacao. Well, we can make it an interesting day.
Oh my God, could you imagine? Oh, Jesus.
Could you imagine slightly dilated pupils while I'm trying to look at numbers on the screen? Oh my goodness.
No.
So much for 48-hour to 72-hour turnarounds. You might be waiting a while. Anyway, but so in my cacao, there's all these beautiful nourishment things for my brain, for my nervous system, for my gut. I stopped drinking coffee and switched to cacao because I wanted to be more loving to my system and not give myself adrenaline spikes first thing in the morning. I create my food for the day, like after I make my cacao. So I've got the most nutritious nourishment. I buy organic food because I love my body and my body's my temple. I make sure that I get good sleep because I love myself. I nurture the relationships in my life because connection is really important to me. I spend time and like connect with my cats because I love them. I get house cleaning weekly because I love myself enough to know that that's not my strength, and I really value a clean environment. So I make sure the environment is clean so I can function at my best. So all of these little things that I've been doing for myself, but not allowing myself to feel as acts of love, in letting them in the past month has radically changed my experience of myself and the love that I can actually feel for myself and how people have been interacting and responding to me. So much so that I had somebody stage left radically exit my business because they couldn't keep up with the frequency. And just as rapidly, somebody stage right slide into my DMs, care of M, and take that role, who is the most incredible, beautiful reflection of everything that I've been asking to come into my business.
I love how that happened.
Right.
So I was teaching relationship sovereignty, and I was on the toilet. I was on the toilet. So we're having like a 10-minute break, and I was on the toilet, and I'm catching up with my private. This is when I talk to Kell when I'm on the toilet. This is our relationship. So
over the toilet. I may or may not do this too.
We are so comfortable with each other. We message each other on the toilet, right? So I'm sitting there on the toilet, and she's like, "Yeah, no, I've gotten rid of somebody. I'm looking for this magical person to come to my business, and I've got that very person is in my house in this container ship learning from me." I went, "Kell, give me 5 minutes. I think I've got the person for you." And I've literally walked outside, looked at this person, I've gone, "I think I've got someone for you." And it was just perfect. And now they're working together. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, she started Monday, like 2 days
She's
ago.
amazing. She's beautiful. Do you know, I really feel I've gone into something really, really simple, yet very profound and deep. And I want to share it with everybody. And Kelly, you just spoke about it then, and it's presence. So I want to talk to you about my sex life.
Great. I am available for this.
Last night I had some of the best sex of my life.
Congratulations.
Now, did Anthony do anything different? No. He didn't. He didn't learn the Kama Sutra. He wasn't swinging off the fucking chandeliers. We didn't use any toys. We didn't do anything like that. It was us, but I was fully present in the moment of it all. So usually I'm in my head. Oh, when's it going to finish? Or is this too long? Is it too quick? Is it too this? Is it too that? Oh, what do I should do? I'm always in my fucking head, right? And my whole thing now, I went and saw Dr. Joe Dispenza. He came into Melbourne Live about a month ago, and he's talking about the now, presence. Oh, and I saw Eckhart Tolle. I don't know.
Oh, he's all about the now moment. Yes.
Yeah, he's all about now. So I'm like, let's just be present. And I love Eckhart Tolle said this thing, goes, to be present, you become a bird. Like you literally like leaf, computer, phone. Because you're here, you're now. It doesn't mean you're thinking about the past or you're thinking about the future. You're here now. So I literally making love to my beautiful husband last night. I decided that I would do an inner commentary to make me present. My fucking God, when you become present, you are there in that moment, and every nerve ending can feel everything. And it is delicious, ladies. Ladies, it is fucking delicious. When you're sitting there with a commentary going, his hand is on my skin, his other hand is on my butt, his other hand is here. And you're like, I am feeling the touch of his skin, his hand on my skin. It is like you're in it. You're nowhere else. You're not in the past. You're not in the future. You're not in the anxiety of, you're not in the time zone of it. You're not in the time line. You're nowhere. You're right there. Do that tonight, ladies, and men. Even if you don't have a partner and you're self-pleasuring, be really fucking present with your self-pleasuring. It will blow your socks off if you wear them during sex.
I'm not really into socks during sex, but
me either. But if you are, they will be blown off your face. Present. It's being present, because we're so caught up in what we expect in the future, and we can only expect what we've experienced in the past. That's all we know. So stop doing that shit. Instead, like I've taken the word expectation out, and I've gone, this is what I require. You know, like $20,000 weeks is a requirement for me. It's not, I don't expect 20K a week. I require 20K a week. I require it to keep me going, to keep my business going, to keep the world in a better place. All of that, that's what I require. I don't expect it because I may never have made 20K every week in the past. It's now a requirement. It's very different energy, a requirement compared to an expectation.
Yeah, 100%. I was literally just feeling it. What was coming up? There's a thing on Instagram that I've seen floating around. It's like, I no longer have expectations. I have requirements, I have standards, and I have something or other else. And I can't remember what it is. But it's literally that. And usually they're talking about people, but it's the same with income. I'm the same. Yes. And this is, it's so interesting that you're bringing this up, because this is what I was watching between my two brokers. So I've got one, Roger, who I've had him forever. Him and I were like, he's the brother I never had. We go like way back, well before finance. And because him and I were talking about this, when you are a self-employed business owner, you have just, it's not an expectation, it's a requirement. And it's like you command the reality to form itself around you in a way that it needs to, for you to be able to sustain your current level of lifestyle. And the further up that scale you get, the greater level of lifestyle and abundance you expand into, the better you get at commanding that requirement into reality. Like it is a baseline. Requirement is so grounded. Expectation is like somewhere external to you. There's a bit of entitlement around it. And we were saying, and we're looking at the other broker who had come from a 9-to-5 corporate office. And so in a 9-to-5 job, and this isn't anything about business owners versus employment. This is just purely in a way that, like, watching the expectation versus requirement. When you're the one that's responsible for putting food on the table, it is a requirement. When you're used to having something handed to you and you know it's going to be in your bank regardless of your performance, it becomes an expectation. Yeah. You expect it to be there. And then watching the second person take their journey into being more of a business owner and watching, like, just, I could see it in the numbers, regardless of what was going on in their personal life. I could literally see the story in the numbers. One of them would easily be making anywhere between 10 to 15K a month. The other would bounce anywhere between 5 to maybe 10K a month. Yet same opportunity, same kind of thing, difference in terms of their requirements and their capacity to hold abundance and also create reality. And I was talking to an incredible guy, totally recommend checking him out, adore him, James Barlog. And he was talking about...
James what?
James Barlog. He's something international speaker, something. I should know that. Anyway, if you just James Balog, he's incredible. Anyway, He was saying there's this whole, people are like, I manifest, I don't chase, I attract. But even in that statement, there's still you're at effect, as opposed to when you own creation, you create.
Yes.
I experience what I create. I don't attract, I experience what I create. And if I'm not creating what I want, evidence is the result of, like, experiencing is the evidence of wanting. So therefore, if I'm experiencing something I don't want somewhere, I am wanting it, and I need to go back and undo and recreate my creation experience.
I'm actually writing this down. I experience what I create. I love that.
Yeah. And because that we are goddess and God creators, we are source incarnate. So to say, I don't chase, I attract. Well, you're not attracting what you want. That's evidence that you are wanting it. So get out of the effect part of that, get back into the cause aspect of that and go, okay, but I'm not creating what I want. What do I need to change within me? Because law of correspondence says, as above, so below, as within, so without. So if I change in here, I'm going to then start creating something different. And you just keep going through that test and measure process until your reality is now you're experiencing your requirement.
Yeah, okay, listen, we're going to finish from there because that's just drop the fucking mic moment right there. So that was insanely inspiring, and thank you. I needed that today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. My loves, thanks so much for listening to us. We love doing these podcasts. I've got some super duper people coming on. I'm interviewing 2 people on Friday, and I'm very excited about it.
I'm so
Ooh, it's so
excited.
exciting. Guys, we love you so much. This is Inspired Conversations with Kell and Em, and we are all over Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're all over the place. Please message us, say hi.
Message us, talk to us, and if you found value in, there is so much in there, like that bomb that you dropped, Em, about, you know, us not getting the thing right from the beginning is playing into the disappointment addiction. This is one of those episodes. Listen back to it. There is so much gold, and I've missed everybody so much. I've missed being on this platform. I will be back way more regularly now, and share us around, because if you found value, I can guarantee others will too. We love you, and see you soon.
We love you. Bye.
Mwah.